So, Arindam, could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me, see me?
Yes, I hear you and see you very well. Great.
Perfect.
Now I have to share my screen. This is maybe also kind of an important thing. Uh, so here are the questions that you are also seeing the questions, and I will just take my notes on the side. Just I will not phrase it now well because I don't have the time it to phrase it well. I will just take the notes, and after the transcription phase, I will then check your recording again, and then I will transcript that properly. The question is, would you like to see that before I will implement that in my thesis, or just you are trusting me that yeah, I'm doing well?
No, this is completely a technical discussion
Okay.
which we're having. So this is nothing like
Oh,
a company confidentiality or data
okay.
security. It's
Okay.
just like you are taking my experience. We are
Yes.
talking about my experience. I'm not quoting any company. I'm not quoting anything confidential. So this is completely open source, which I have already done previously in various conferences and meetup.
Okay. Okay.
So feel free to use whatever information is available in the recording.
Okay, great. So, would you like to see afterwards my study results?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, great. And then you want to be stay anonym, anonym. So, or you want that I will explain your name? It's fine for you if I.
You can provide my name. I have no
Okay.
problem. If there is any limitations on your university side that it has to be anonymous, you can do it in that way. But
Yes.
feel free to take my name. It's as I
Okay.
said. It's
Okay,
okay.
great. So then we will start with, in general, there are 14 questions. I provided you already this question in advanced, I think, right? So then I would suggest we start. We are on the minutes 12:16. That's fine. And then I would like to ask you, can you briefly describe your role and how long you're working in this role, and especially maybe tell us maybe about your experience in DevSecOps, in CI/CD pipelines, and so on.
Okay, so as you have already introduced myself now, so my name is Arindam Mitra, and I have close to now 8 years in cloud experience, and overall of 18 years of experience. So 10 or 11 years in data center, and then 8 to close to 9 years now in cloud. And I specialize in Azure and Azure DevOps, and that includes infrastructure as a code, security by default, you name it. Because when you're building the infrastructure, you have to also take care of certain security measures and everything before it goes live and everything. So even though if I'm not working directly as a DevSecOps specialist or as a security specialist, but I believe that and I'm doing that role by extension. So that is
Yes.
how I call it. And I'm also a Microsoft MVP 3 times now in developer technologies and infrastructure as a code. And all the DevSecOps principles which you apply, you know, it is heavily dependent upon the kind of infrastructure as a code you're writing, because
Mhm.
you have to somehow combine the security with your infrastructure as a code. It cannot be that you're writing a code and you're not keeping your infrastructure security hat on your head while writing it. So that is
Yeah.
why I say that, these all are clubbed together. Of course,
Yes.
we always have in any organization a security specialist or a team of security people to have that
Yeah.
two wide principles. The first
Yeah.
is like infrastructure people are putting their security hat and implementing everything. And then if something is missed out, then this DevSecOps guy or the security specialist guys are coming in, having the second pair of eyes, looking into things so that there's nothing missed out before the go live.
Yes. Absolutely. And in which environment field do you have experience? So, any insurance, bank, energy sector, in which field do you have experience in this kind of field?
So I have experience in insurance, finance, and in trading IT, in energy and trading as well.
Okay.
So it's again, I'll just repeat: finance, insurance, and energy and trading.
Okay. And these areas where you are working for, for example, the insurance, what was more or less the size of these companies? Are there small companies like 100 people or thousands or 100,000, 15,000s?
I think the insurance company is like close to more than 2,000, and the energy and trading companies, I think, more than 2,500, something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, close to. I mean, like you can say that it's like 2,000 plus employees. And
Yeah, okay.
I'm just talking about the strength in Switzerland, because all these companies also have nearshoring and offshoring. So I'm not
Yes.
counting, just taking the strength of Switzerland.
Okay. Great. You mentioned that you worked in teams, DevOps teams and so on, cloud teams. What was the size of these teams which you worked with them?
So I have actually built the whole team, like in an energy and trading company, starting from zero. So I was the first recruit, and then
Okay.
I I built up the team in a capacity of DevOps, in capacity of site reliability engineers, in capacity
Mm-hmm.
of containers, in capacity of
Mm-hmm.
delivery managers, in capacity of operation team as
Yeah.
well. So we it was not like you have a DevOps team and then you can do everything, but you have to
Yes,
have
yes.
pillars, because
Mm.
people talk about cloud and DevOps, they feel that, oh, we hire one guy and he can do everything. He can do database, he can do operations, he can do security, he can do infrastructure as a code, you name it. But this is not
Yeah.
true. So if you're not doing that, then probably what you're doing is, you are not taking care of the engineer's career.
Mm.
No,
Mm.
you're just making him jack of all trades, master of none. So,
Exactly.
so you have to,
And
when you're building a team, you have to think about that. Okay, if the ecosystem is completely container, a DevOps guy is not going to suit there. A person with a
Mhm.
Kubernetes, container apps experience, those kind of experience will matter. And those are niche skill sets. These are not
Yeah.
like you study one day and you can implement the other day. So
Mm.
so I had like a DevOps pillar, I had a SRE pillar, I have a containers pillar, I have a service delivery manager,
Mhm.
I have a 24 cross 7 operations people as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So I started with me as there, and then I extended the team up to a team strength of 20
Yeah.
over 6 years.
Person. Yeah. Uh, Okay, great. So could you, I mean, you described already the word, but could you briefly describe what means for you DevOps and how you will implement DevOps in security? How would you describe that in your own words? And do you know any principles of DevSecOps?
So for me, the word itself, means everything DevSecOps. So if you are doing security by DevOps, that's DevSecOps. And when you are saying
Mhm.
DevOps, it means that you are basically using the principle of complete end-to-end automation. So
Mhm.
when you're talking about a DevOps engineer, they are always heavily invested in CI/CD pipelines, GitOps, and infrastructure as a code. That
Mhm.
basically summarizes the scope of work for DevOps. Now, when you talk about DevSecOps, exactly, they are using the same technologies. It's nothing like that. You can write a very good infrastructure as a code. You can run it with CI/CD pipelines, right?
Mhm.
But instead of deploying the infrastructure, you are scrutinizing the infrastructure using the same technologies.
Mhm.
So for example, I, being a DevOps engineer, I deployed a storage account. So I wrote
Yeah.
a storage account Terraform module. I ran it with Azure DevOps. and it deployed a storage account. Now,
Yes.
you wrote a PowerShell script
Mm-hmm.
or a AZCLI, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, okay, I will check that the deploy storage account, does it have a private endpoint? Is it VNet integrated? Is it protected by firewall? Is the SFTP enabled or disabled? Does it have
Mm-hmm.
diagnostic settings? Is the container deployed? Is private containers? Is
Yeah.
anonymous access enabled? So you are basically running the script and checking every single parameter. Is there a TLS 1.2 encryption?
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
checking all those important parameters to see and validate if the DevOps engineer has actually implemented those in his part of the infrastructure as a code. So you are
Yeah.
basically running it and you are taking out entire things to validate if that is there. If that security standard is not met, then
Mm-hmm.
go back to DevOps engineer. You say, hey, you have to refactor this code. Now, there are
Absolutely.
different ways of doing it. You can do it by Azure policies. So
Mm-hmm.
in order to enforce company-wide,
Yeah.
you are putting policies so that a DevOps engineer proactively has to take care.
Yeah.
One way of doing it. The other way is doing is that that is a proactive measure which a DevSecOps guy is taking by policies. And when you are deploying those Azure policies, you are not deploying it manually. You are not going over portal and creating it. You are again using CI/CD pipelines. You are again using.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a
Yeah.
job DevSecOps guys are doing.
Absolutely.
And then
Yes.
it's a proactive thing. The reactive kind or the way of doing it is like you did a proactive measure of putting the policies. Now the DevOps engineer, when they are deploying it, they will always run into problems because they will see that, oh, this policy is blocking, this policy is blocking, and they will keep on refactoring the code till the time the
Mm.
code is ready with the organizational Azure policies, right?
Yeah.
He deploys it. After deployment as well, it becomes the job of the DevSecOps guy is, okay, now it is there, but I still need to
Mm-hmm.
validate it again as a two-eye principle. Okay, I have put policies, but it may happen that the guy who has created the DevSecOps principles might have missed out one or two policies. And that is the loophole.
Absolutely.
So this is a two-eye principle where you're again running a script, generating the report, throwing it in the Power BI, and showing the guys that, hey, this is missing. So
Yeah.
the guy who is responsible for Azure policies, he is getting informed. The DevOps engineer who
Mhm.
deployed the service, he is informed. So that is the reactive
Okay.
kind of DevSecOps principle which you're doing.
Okay. Great. Yeah, thank you very much. I think for this question, this is enough information. Could you maybe I know you worked, as you explained, in the energy trading field. Could you explain there how your CI/CD landscape looks like, also with tools which you are using there? Do you have any standards which you are using, or are the CI/CD pipelines project specific, for example? And could you maybe explain in your own words what kind of phases do you have in your CI/CD pipeline? I mean, this is yeah not standardized. I mean, every company can define their own CI/CD stages, phases which they want to use, right? So could you explain me or give me more information about that?
Okay, so let's start with this. Every project which is onboarded to Azure Cloud, so our primary cloud is Azure.
Yeah.
Okay, our CI/CD is Azure DevOps. Our
Okay.
infrastructure as a code is Terraform.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these are the standards which we built.
Okay.
Now, with every project, we always have a standard three environments: dev, UAT, and prod.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With each project, you will have two subscriptions: non-prod subscription and a prod subscription. In
Yes.
non-prod, we divide the dev and UAT by resource group. Okay.
Yeah.
For every project, we will have a dedicated DevOps project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we don't share DevOps project with any of the projects. So whenever the project is coming, they have their own DevOps project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, The service connection which we used earlier was app registration with secrets. Now we
Mm-hmm.
away from that and we are now using workload identity federation
Mm-hmm.
because it is passwordless and it is using the OIDC token, which is short-lived.
Yes.
So that is why we use it. And there is no issue of every time going and rotating the secrets of the app registration. So it's passwordless. Okay.
Yes.
So that is how we generally approach for every project. These are the very basic bare minimum guidelines which we use. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For build agents, we have a centralized build agent. For containers, we are using AKS. For Linux containers,
Mm-hmm.
for the Linux,
Mm-hmm.
we are using the AKS. So we are using like horizontal pod autoscaler HPA and CADA both. And for
Mm-hmm.
Windows-based build agent, we are using VM scale sets. So that for everybody, it becomes centralized. We are not
Mm-hmm.
generating the build agents for every project. Of course, we have done it in the past. I'm not saying that we haven't done it, but these are the things
Mm-hmm.
we are improving over the time.
Yeah. Okay. Good. For example, you are mentioning, I mean, when I'm talking about CI/CD pipelines, could you explain me there, for example, if you want, for example, to deploy a resource as an infrastructure as code on the Azure cloud, for example, how you will deploy that? I mean, of course, I know, but how the CI/CD pipeline looks like? Do they have any tests, phases, whatever? Could you say a few words about that?
Sure. So when you are deploying, it completely depends upon first, uh, like how you are pushing the code. What is your branch policies? Okay, so that becomes very important. So,
Mhm.
or so when you are developing your own infrastructure as a code and everything, so there is always a feature branch where you are developing everything. Then
Mhm.
it is pushed to a dev branch, right? And
Mhm.
you deploy everything from your dev branch. And if
Mhm.
it's successful, then you make a commit to the main branch.
Okay.
Okay, so the feature branch is always something like, which is for your own personal development. But
Yes.
then, you're compiling everything in the dev branch. Okay.
Yes.
And then you're deploying it from your dev branch and seeing that okay, you've deployed it, you go to the Azure portal, you check, okay, does it have this point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, I have everything.
Mhm.
It looks good. Then you make a pull request to the main branch, which is again
Mhm.
looked into it and then committed. Why do we do like this? The only reason we do like this is that the main is always your source of truth.
Yes.
So you don't have to deploy everything from your source of truth. It is more like a state.
Mhm.
And when you are
Okay.
doing this, when you're doing this, at one point of time, the feature and the dev branch will be deleted.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
when a new guy joins a team, you know, the
Mhm.
first thing he will try to look into it, if he's a proper DevOps engineer, is that okay, he will try to look into the commit history. Now think
Yeah.
about how many time you refactor in order to make the code run. If you're putting
Yeah.
all commit in the main branch, how will the commit history look like?
Mhm.
So you have to take care of that. So that is the branch thing, how we do it. There are different ways of
Absolutely.
doing it. There's a various way of doing it. Somebody also has a approval, like to approve from feature to dev. And again, there is approval from dev to main. So there can be
Yeah.
approved whatever you feel like. The second most
Yeah.
important thing is that uh, the identity which the build agent is using. As I said, like you have to be careful that
Mhm.
you are using workload identity federation, importantly,
Mhm.
or if required, you are using system access token
Mhm.
to avoid app registration with secrets, service principals with secrets, or
Mhm.
PAT tokens.
Yeah.
Try to avoid that. I mean, like those are the
Yes.
ones which will be flagged very immediately. Then the
Mhm.
important thing is that when you are running multiple pipelines, you are
Mhm.
making pipeline folders.
Yeah.
It can be by resource, it can be by environment, you name it. It doesn't matter. But
Yes.
because multiple people are going to use it, so you have to do it. By making it folder, if you are creating multiple folders in the pipelines, you are not only categorizing it, but you can also put security on particular folders.
Mhm.
Who can view it, who can run,
Mhm.
who can queue it, you name it. Right?
Mhm.
Just
Yes.
you
Absolutely.
can, you can put security in repository. You can also apply security in the pipeline folders. This
Yes.
is,
Yes.
of
And
course, every
mhm.
YAML pipelines when you are creating. Uh, if you want to you want to have, like, first of all, not a flat YAML pipeline, but a multi-stage pipeline. When you are using multi-stage pipelines, then it should have conditions after each stage to meet it.
Mhm.
Certain things as fulfilled, then you can proceed, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
And if you want to have approvals, then you need to create pipeline environments and attach the approval identity or the approval enter ID group. Okay, for
Yes.
it will wait, and then somebody has to approve, and then something. So these are the very bare minimum things you should be doing if you're a DevOps engineer,
Mhm.
if you're practicing DevSecOps in your organization. So these things I would definitely encourage people to do it.
Okay. Great. I mean, there are already a lot of high value information. This is but specifically how you protect the CI/CD pipeline itself, right? So also about the whole repo that you have just that you need a folder structure to give certain permission on certain folders and so on to avoid that all the people have access on it, and also the workload identity, for example. I mean, we have to protect this identity because this is a high privileged identity. I mean, you can at least deploy everything with that, right? So that means this is something which we have to protect really, really good, right? This is what I hear from you out. And this is what you are your last your in this energy concern which you are working on. This was doing that exactly that, or do you saw do they this is just your approach how you would like to do it, or is this something which they really do it?
This is what we practice. This is what we.
Okay, that's really important. Okay.
There's also one more thing which I want to mention, because I talked about the repo security. Like, if you
Mhm.
have repositories and you have multiple repository, and you want doesn't do not want like a certain member to see that repository and everything.
Yes.
Because, for example, you are the development team who are developing the infrastructure as a code, but you don't
Mhm.
want a certain part of the code to be visible to the operating team, the operations team, 24 cross 7. They don't need to see it.
Yes.
So then you can use the repo security. Now you are also running the pipeline. The operational guys are also running the pipeline. So that is why you have to categorize it into the folder so that nobody runs a wrong pipeline. So they can go
Mhm.
to the pipeline folder, see, okay, this is a dev environment. Okay, under the dev environment, okay, I have to run the AKS pipeline. I will go into the AKS. It's very, very, like, self-understood. You don't have to document.
Absolutely.
So
Mhm.
also on those folders, you can apply security. Now, the most important,
Mhm.
I told you about pipeline environments because you have to create it to attach the approval for the multi-stage pipeline. There is one
Mhm.
component which people uses is variable groups in pipelines. That is something I don't, how would I say, I don't encourage to do it. I would rather
Mhm.
ask them not to create variable groups in Azure DevOps, rather than you create those as a pipeline task. Okay, so
Okay.
you get like a pipeline task. You don't have to, like, have static variable groups created, key value pair,
Mhm.
and then start to
Yeah.
use it. That is not secure, because anybody having the DevOps project permission, they can go and look into the key and value pair, and this is not
Yes.
good. Instead of that, use variables in your pipeline, use it as a pipeline task. So, so this is something which you should be doing. As a DevSecOps, the most important thing is that you should also look into that if the project is using any kind of pipeline extensions,
Mm-hmm.
certain pipeline extensions which you install from Visual Studio Marketplace and Azure DevOps, those have requirements of PAT. Those have requirements of personal access token. So
Okay.
you can use those extension, but you have to provide a higher privilege, and the higher privilege
Mm.
DevOps is still PAT, unfortunately.
Yes,
So,
yes, absolutely.
we have to look into those that, okay, is that extension too important for the deployment? Can't we do
Mm-hmm.
with the native Azure DevOps, maybe for example, like integrating PowerShell or AZCLI, or maybe a small
Mm.
script to do the same job
Absolutely.
instead of, why to
Mm.
use personal access token? So these are some things which I would definitely encourage everybody to use it. And we do it, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, great. So yeah, let's jump to the next question, which is a huge question. Actually, I think we will spend much of the time here on this question. I would like to ask you what specific security measures are you implementing in your CI/CD pipeline? I show you, for example, I prepared for you this phases of the CI/CD pipeline. And I just want to give you an overview about what is possible, what you can do. It's not how every company are doing it, but this helps the people that yes, we are doing this, and we are doing this. Sometimes it's not so easy for the interviewer that he have the whole big picture. That's why I just highlight these phases, and it would be great if you could explain me how your company works, not just related on the CI/CD pipeline, but also regarding the design phase itself. And also after, if it will go into the whole operation monitoring part, how you will do it there. And yeah, it would be great if you could give me a few sentences about that.
So security requirements, should I go with this or should I
Uh,
go for the
I
whole?
yeah, let's start with your own thoughts, and then I will ask you in the detailed. Let's run it like this.
Okay. So the first and the most important part is the application team coming up with their own requirements, because the
Okay.
requirement they are always getting from the business users. Okay.
Yeah.
So when the business users are basically they want something, it is basically coming to the architecture team.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the architecture team is driving it in sense that, okay, uh, yes, you have to now develop this. So he contacts the application guys. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then what happens is application guys, knowing the business requirement and knowing the application needs, they prepare their
Mm-hmm.
architecture design based on the Azure services available. So they make an
Okay.
architecture, because the architect is only like helping them to to narrow down the business requirement, that hey, this is a business requirement and you have to fulfill it. It's more like a
Mm-hmm.
transaction between application team and the business team, right? Now
Yes.
when they have narrowed down, when they have created a small architecture diagram, high level architecture diagram, that they want to use these services and everything, that is where they are coming to the infrastructure team or the DevOps team or a platform team. You can name it in any kind of things. Every organization wants them in a different way. You do that. Now it becomes a job of the lead of that whole team to, together with his best DevOps engineer, validate the architecture design.
Mm-hmm.
They have to validate the architecture design that, okay, for example, an application team has said, we are going to use AKS. Okay, good. You
Mm-hmm.
be AKS, which means that your application has a need to be containerized. Good. Okay, why not container apps? Why are you specifically using AKS? So these kind of constructive, challenging questions you have to ask so that you know
Mm-hmm.
that Azure services is selected, and it is not like, oh, I had a shower thought, I will use AKS and I go for AKS. It
And by whom will this question, who will ask this question to the application team?
So this will be like the infrastructure team who is validating the architecture design.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so, so
Mm-hmm.
this will be something. Now, when that whole back and forth of question has been completed, and now we have
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is how it looks like and everything. Then
Mm-hmm.
we discuss about the environments. Okay, I mean, how many environments do you need and everything, so on and so forth. If somebody says that I need a dev, I need a QA, I need a UAT, I need a prod, and those kind of things, then we try to ask them that, okay, why so many environments? Because you have to also think that, yes, at the start, everybody wants number of environments and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
at the middle of the project, they sooner or later starts to realize, oh, it is costing me too much.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have at the beginning, nobody will have the FinOps mindset in their head. It's always
Mm-hmm.
focused on the delivery. And at the mid of the project and everything, they will start to calculate. The project manager will start to calculate the cost. So he will see that I'm paying
Mm-hmm.
for consumptions, I'm paying for the resources, I'm paying for, like, people coming from Spain and from Portugal and from Poland and everybody, Switzerland, for doing workshops. I'm paying for the flight, I'm paying for the food, and it will explode.
Yes.
So at least, we have to think.
Yes.
Then the other thing is also, like, to see that which is the service which is going to consume more money. And if that service,
Mm-hmm.
for example, shared across environment.
Yes.
Like, for example, I know that everybody who has really worked on the messaging services, Azure Service Bus is a very, very expensive service. Okay.
Yes.
Now, if I have a non-prod environment where I have a dev environment and I have a UAT environment, since it is falling under the non-prod umbrella, why not to have
Mm-hmm.
one service bus which is catering the needs of both environment? Why should I have two service bus?
Mm-hmm.
You have to also think from the angle that which are the services in that architecture blueprint, and which of these services can be, like, shared, so that will bring down the cost. So these are the things application team will not be aware of, and you have to keep on pushing them, asking them. Okay.
Yes.
Once this whole thing and everything is elaborate, costing, shared services, number of environments, constructive, like, back and forth of discussion regarding architecture, design, and everything,
Mm-hmm.
you also have to also talk about the upstream and downstream traffic. Like, is it
Mm-hmm.
completely cloud native application, or does it have also a leg towards on-premises hybrid connectivity and those kind of things, to understand the dependencies and everything? Because, cloud is cloud, and then there is another set of data center connectivity. The people are different, providers are different, and
Mm-hmm.
they have different SLAs and everything to fulfill them.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to also have a, like, and once this is all over, then, then your team, the infrastructure team, or the DevOps team, or the platform engineering team, they know that what they have to build.
Okay.
Now,
Great.
when they know what to build, then comes the
Mm-hmm.
question: do you have a infrastructure platform, a centralized infrastructure platform, which has a self-service capability, or your organization is still running the cloud in the same data center mode, where
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure people are responsible for deploying the infrastructure?
Mm-hmm.
If you are in cloud, then it means that, you are doing correctly cloud or DevOps. If you are building the automation and somebody else is consuming it, if you are building the
Mm-hmm.
automation and you are running the same automation, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally see your point. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
So this is the part of the journey, how it goes. So I will just pause if this answers your question, or I can elaborate more.
Yes, I would like to ask here. Now you explained me a little bit about the planning phase, how the application will be designed, architectured, and so on. But what I still missing is, or I would like to ask you, where will come the security in place? For example, where will come the CISO to you, or is there a security team where they provide you the security requirements to this architecture? Is there a threat modeling in place who will taking care of that? How this will work?
Ideally, in any company, especially in trading, IT, or everything, the first thing, the golden rule is they don't consider as a software development company. This is
Yeah.
the this is even in your company, you will listen the same thing. We are not a software development company, which means that making them understand that how much important is version control, infrastructure as a code, CI/CD, security, that is the least interest. Their interest is to that how much money we are making with trading IT and the application which we are using. Is it if we are able to do the trading properly, if the applications are running, doesn't matter how it is running. This is the golden truth. They will never care how fancy is your infrastructure as a code, how strong is the security. It doesn't matter to them
So,
because they don't consider themselves as a software development company. Now coming to the
okay.
point of the security, which ideally, when the security is coming from two angles. One is the central IT who is defining the Azure policies.
Okay.
Each of the Azure services, they should have the policies set that what they won't allow uh,
Mm-hmm.
in a service to be deployed. Because if it is coming from the policy, then you are basically applying the same principles across all the projects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is one way. So this is the policy part.
Yeah.
Now there are also like settings in each of the services
Mm-hmm.
which you have to think or you need to document it. Like as I said,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about a complex service. Let's talk about API management. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a complex service. Now, in API management, the first thing is that VNet integration is a must. You cannot deploy a API management publicly.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is that uh, you have to make sure that your APIs are protected. So all,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be policies applied on the APIs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Each of the APIs should always be protected by, or if you want to see the tracing and real-time logging, they should have application insight configured,
Mm-hmm.
right? You should
Yeah.
also be mindful about what are the backend targets associated with API management. Now, there are certain
Mm-hmm.
things which you can do it by policies. There are certain
Mm-hmm.
things you have to you have to take care in infrastructure as a code.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
that
Yes.
definition. If a security guy, who's running a security team, if he defines that definition, ideally, that okay, what will come from policy and what will be a part of infrastructure as a code,
Mm-hmm.
then you are achieving the entire security. And believe me, even after 8 or 9 years in cloud, I didn't find any security team or any security guy doing these principles. Because the most
Okay.
security guy which I have seen doing is going to Defender for Cloud, running it, populating a report, making a very, very fancy Power BI report, and showing to the management, oh, this is your problem with security. Okay, this is a problem statement. Now, you as a security guy, what are you doing? Because this is a
Yeah.
reactive security. When you are showing the
Absolutely.
BI report, it's a reactive security. It's not a proactive
Mm.
security.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So back to my question. So that means you are not doing any threat modeling if there are new applications coming on your tenant.
Depends upon the nature of the application, because most of our applications, we try to avoid any kind of, public endpoints. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
okay. If there is any public endpoint, we have to be extremely careful, and it always goes through application gateway. Okay.
Okay.
And if that happens, then the first thing what we do is like, we go for penetration testing.
Mm-hmm.
We go for the external penetration testing, where we hire
Mm-hmm.
and we ask them not only to hit from the infrastructure perspective, but also to hit from the application perspective. And
Yes.
how to do it is that and believe me, Hadu, this penetration testing doesn't have to be always like an external basis. You can also run the penetration testing as a part of zero trust. So zero trust
Mm-hmm.
says that, even if you are an employee of the company, I still don't trust you.
Yeah.
I still have security in place. I will see that if an internal employee can do any harm to my application or infrastructure. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter, but we don't do internal pen test. We always do for applications which are exposed over public.
Yeah. Okay. But that means the penetration test can be, of course, done after the application is already done or developed, right? So she's
No,
already deployed.
uh, it's deployed in UAT, but we don't go for production go
When it's
live
brought.
test. Yeah,
Okay.
pen test
Okay. That's a.
public endpoint, like
Mm-hmm.
the API, which is like getting exposed over application gateway and everything, because we don't go for naked APIs. We always go for API which is protected over application gateway, or if there's
Mm-hmm.
URL or anything which is exposed, we try to put an application gateway in front. Okay. Um,
Okay.
we never do that. So we hire an external pen test guy. He does it. He sends out the report. And
Mm-hmm.
if there is an infrastructure problem, then the infra team is taking care. If it's application problem,
Yeah.
application
Yeah.
is taking database problem, database is taking care. And if
Mm-hmm.
the delivery or the project team is saying that no, no, we have a delivery impact and everything, then
Mm-hmm.
of course, since we are implementing the infrastructure and everything, everybody tries to put everything on the infrastructure team. That's a very
Mm-hmm.
good nature. But we call out the exceptions. With that,
Yes.
we tell them, or we tell the higher management, you go for the go live, we don't have any problem, but you are accepting the risk.
Mm.
You don't
Okay.
accept because you have a stringent timeline with your project delivery, well and fine with me. You can do it after
Yeah.
go live, but you are accepting the risk.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay. Great. Then I would like to ask, so as far as understood now from you, threat modeling will be done, but it depends on the application needs, how critical the application is, right? And what will also be done is also depends on the application, not for each application, but depends on the application that you will do external penetration tests before they're going to the production, right?
Yes, depends upon the application. If it is like a public facing application, if it is a private,
Okay.
if it is a like completely private and everything, we don't do anything. It's an
Okay.
it's an internal scrutiny, and we know that everything is private, and we assume that this is secure. But as I said, internal penetration testing can also be done as a part of zero trust.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Great. Then I would like to ask you, are you anything implementing in the CI/CD pipeline in terms of security, like source code scanning or dependency tests, of course, but this is not so security related, or software composition analysis tests, or any infrastructure as code security testing, for example, if you have any secrets there or secret scanning tools. Could you give me some, few words about that?
Sure. So the first thing is that in our security guys, they are using Chekhov.
Okay.
So secret scanning is already enabled by default in every repository of Azure DevOps. So that
Mhm.
okay. For our infrastructure-based pipeline, I'm not talking about application pipelines. I'm talking exclusively about infrastructure pipelines. We
Mhm.
already have, depender bots.
Okay.
So we have depender bots, which is like, taking care of, the provider version upgrade of Terraform and anything which you're using. Okay. So this is how it is happening. Uh, So Chekhov, I said about depender pods. Okay, now we do have Sonar Cube for the code vulnerability, but we only manage the infrastructure part of Sonar Cube. The application teams, who not all application teams, there are certain application teams they do use Sonar Cube for code vulnerability. Not all.
Okay.
There are certain teams they use Sonar Cube, so we have Sonar Cube as well for this one.
How this is decided that they all going to use SonarQube for the application source code, and what application teams can say, hey, no, it's not relevant for us.
So the thing is that this is a part where we cannot enforce. This is a part where the security guy has to enforce, uh,
Okay.
because SonarQube is not very much relevant for infrastructure as a code, because infrastructure as a code is more like a scripting language. It is not a programming language.
Mhm.
If you're
Exactly.
like ASP.NET or C Sharp, F Sharp, Python, R, where you are using constantly NuGet packages, or you using Python libraries which you are storing in a central artifacts, and you're consuming it, and that
Mhm.
can be on the organizational level or on the project level. So for
Mhm.
SonarQube is very, very important. Now, in this whole journey where a project is onboarded to cloud till go live, right?
Mhm.
Of course, there can be a stage where an application is enforced to run the code vulnerability tool over SonarQube
Mhm.
and provide a report to security guy. But
Mhm.
that has to be a job between the security specialist and
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
and the application guy.
Absolutely.
Here, my entire DevOps or platform team cannot.
Mhm.
We can only
Absolutely.
project. We can always say that we have this Azure, we have the SonarQube infrastructure.
Mhm.
Please be aware that you can do your code vulnerability testing before you
Mhm.
the code. You can do it,
Mhm.
but whether or not
Yeah.
they are, that's a complete different conversation between security and the project team.
Absolutely. Okay. Then I would like to know about more about the artifact signature. Are you going to use that, or is there any artifact scanning or any dust scanning tools, dynamic application security testing? This is after the artifact is created. Are you going to use also tools there?
Normally, in our organization, we are not using it.
Okay.
So we are not using it. But what we are trying to do is to making sure that the artifacts which we have. So there are like two kind of artifacts. One is like the artifacts which is getting created as a part of pipeline execution.
Mhm.
And then there is an artifact which is a part of the Azure DevOps project. There are two
Mhm.
artifacts. And the beauty of Microsoft is that they use one name for multiple
Mhm.
purposes. Like you have containers inside a storage account, and you also call containers in AKS. So,
Mhm.
so this is confusing. So when you are like, for example, running a Terraform plan, so that
Mhm.
like you have a Terraform plan as part of one pipeline stage. And
Yeah.
in that pipeline stage, you are using Terraform apply. But at the time of
Mhm.
apply, you're not using the Terraform, you're not again rerunning the Terraform plan. The plan which
Okay. Yeah.
you are actually storing an artifact, and before
Okay. Yeah.
stage when you're running it, you're basically downloading the artifact, which means that the plan which is saved as JSON, you're downloading as
Mm.
the pipeline artifacts task, and then you're
Mhm.
using Terraform applying, taking that file. So that is a pipeline artifact.
Okay. Got
And the
that.
artifact which you are saying that where like project A, they need a NuGet
Mhm.
package. Project B also needs a NuGet package. So
Yeah.
having that NuGet package as an Azure DevOps project artifact, I will
Mm-hmm.
not as an Azure DevOps organization artifacts
Yeah.
so that multiple projects can consume it.
Okay.
So this is something which we are working on because
Mm-hmm.
the whole artifacts and everything. And then what happens is that with Defender of Cloud, uh,
Mm-hmm.
with Defender, Microsoft Defender for DevOps, like you
Mm-hmm.
you are also getting the report if there is any vulnerability in your artifacts.
Yeah. Okay. Then to my next question, are you using also image scanning tools? Are you scanning your images?
We do, but we don't enforce it. We audit it. Okay,
Okay.
because
Okay.
if enforcing it, then none of our project will ever see the light of the day. The reason is
Okay.
most important thing is that any company who is working with containers when they are
Mm-hmm.
trying to containerize their application, the first and the most important thing is the base image.
Mm-hmm.
And the base image is always downloaded from Docker Hub. So
Yeah.
there are very less company I know who is actually creating their golden image.
Mm.
Okay.
So, okay.
So the
So
first
the image must be from a trusted source, we can say, right?
it and the trusted source is always when you are building it. Because if someone
Mm.
is building it for you, then
Mm.
they don't care of your organizational governance policies, whatever.
Mm.
So when you are building the golden image in your company, then you are getting the requirement from your security specialist.
Mm.
Because the most number of vulnerabilities is from the base OS image.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Okay.
when you are downloading from Docker Hub and then you're
Mm-hmm.
pushing your application
Yeah.
and you're trying to push it to ACR, a container
Yeah.
registry, before that, you are running the scanning tool, right?
Yes.
We use Aquasec Trivi.
Okay. Okay. True. Okay. Mm-hmm.
But when we run it, we populate the report. There is
Yeah.
all like git ignore. So there
Yeah.
is also like a trivi ignore file.
Okay. Okay.
So where you are basically ignoring the CSVs.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
Mm-hmm.
basically unless it is a there is low, medium, and high.
Yeah.
You're taking care of the high part, the low and medium. You put it in the trivi ignore, and you can ignore it.
Okay. Great.
That it is not stopping you to push the image to the ACR because unless it is in the ACR, your container engine cannot consuming it and deploy it. So you have
Absolutely.
to be very careful
Mm.
that how you implement it because
Mm.
it's a lot of work in sense like you have to first have your golden image because when you have the golden image, then
Mm-hmm.
when your tool is scanning it, then you know that since this is a golden image I have like the organization has created
Mm.
with the organization standard, which means that every time I run a
Yeah.
scan, it will
Yeah.
give the same report,
Yes. Yes.
right? When it is giving the same report, then now I'm clubbing application one, application two. Then I am
Mm.
very sure that application one has a problem.
Yes.
Because if I'm
Mm-hmm.
running a scanning tool without an application containerized in the base image, I'm getting the
Mm.
same report for everywhere.
Yeah.
How you
True.
control it. But if you are downloading from Docker Hub, then every time you're running, you'll always see the OS vulnerability first. And by the time you fix it, you will not be able to meet your project deadlines.
Okay. Great. Could you give me or say me a few words about monitoring operation process itself? How with what kind of tools you are monitoring? Grafana or any SOC tools, Sentinel, or are you using Azure native tools? Yeah.
So the 24 cross 7 monitoring, incident management, business as usual operational work, this is always outsourced.
Okay.
So they are using their own built-in tool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So.
all we take care about is that, okay, what we want to monitor.
Exactly.
That definition, first of all, what we want to monitor.
Mm-hmm.
Second, what is the threshold when the application team, infrastructure team, database team will get the alerts?
Mm-hmm.
Now, for each of the alerts, how should we categorize it? Is it P1? Is it P2? Is it P3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if this is clear and if this is well documented,
Mm-hmm.
then then anytime you want to add a monitoring parameter or remove a monitoring parameter, it should be
Mm-hmm.
followed by a change request.
Absolutely.
And then
Okay, great.
all the upgrade and the maintenance activity, they fall into the regular
Mm.
business as usual operations.
Okay. Okay, great. That's fine. So, and the next question would be what security tools you are using, but you are mentioned about Azure, no, Trivi you mentioned, Chekhov you mentioned, your Depender bot you're mentioning. What kind? Oh, let me check on my notes. Uh, sorry?
Dependabot
Yes, Depender bot I have already, Chekhov.
and
Uh,
Microsoft Defender for DevOps, Defender for
I
Cloud, and Defender for DevOps, both.
Defender for Cloud and DevOps. That was the tooling. Okay. That's fine. That should be fine. Are there any manual processes today which you are decided to doing still manually? I mean, there is the CI and CD, right? Continuous deployment will be automate everything end to end, right? But the question is your company really doing end-to-end automation, or are there still manual processes, security gates, or any manual approvals in place?
So it's not like every time you're pushing the code in your Git, the pipeline is
Mm-hmm.
automatically getting triggered. So in our Azure DevOps pipeline, in the YAML pipeline, first of all, we never use classic pipelines. We always use
Okay.
YAML pipelines. The second is
Yes.
that the trigger is always set to none. It is never
Okay.
okay. So we tend to do that. And as I said that when you're pushing anything to main, it is always followed by approval.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And we have a multi-stage pipelines, and the pipelines are built as templates. So it's not a
Yeah.
flat pipeline, it's templates. And the structure of the pipeline is like, stages. And each stage
Mm-hmm.
conditions applied.
Yes. Okay, good. So then I would like to ask, I will make an example. You mentioned about public facing and private application, and private application, you will not do any penetration tests. So that means I assume the developer can publish after this manual approval process, this merging part, they can deploy in production without any security gates, right? For a private facing application.
Yes. So
Okay.
it's like, just promotion of the environment.
Yes.
So ideally, UAT and prod is always like to like.
Mm-hmm.
It's only the naming convention which is getting skewed. So when you are doing a dev environment, because of the cost, you will select a certain SKUs lower because it's a developer.
Mm-hmm.
But UAT and prod, you will be using always like standard and premium SKUs, because it
Mm-hmm.
has benefits. UAT and prod, we keep it like to like because if there is any issues in production, then you have a
Mm-hmm.
like to like environment to reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
Okay.
what we've done in UAT, once the security measures and everything is taken care, you're just promoting the environment. You're just promoting the same code. Doesn't matter anymore.
Yes, yes. Okay, good, good. But this will just taking care of the infrastructure itself and not about the application, right? So the application is each time differently, right? So that means this is in this case you can't reproduce it, of course, right?
Yes. So this is the funny part, when like we talk about security and everything, uh, it would be an interesting, or maybe it's an input to you that maybe if you can find a DevOps guy like myself and everybody, a
Mhm.
database and an application guy in the same meeting, and then
Yes.
talk about DevOps. It would be a very, very interesting discussion, because when you are asking this question, then you are framing the same question to an application guy and same question to a database guy, and you will see the variety of answers, and it will blow your mind off.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you're right. That's absolutely right. Okay, then I would like to go to the next part. I would like to ask you about the challenges. When you are looking back in your experience, what are the biggest challenges which you are facing when it's coming to when you saw the whole implementation of DevSecOps which you had? What are the biggest challenges in your opinion? I mean, this can be tool specific challenges, this can be culture specific or a resource. I mean, this can be process related challenges. Just to give you some directions, what challenges are you facing which popping up?
I have always said in my various sessions where I've spoken in past that technology is never a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
A challenge. The biggest problem is cultural and people specific.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the complexity increases because one thing I have realized is that I'm 40, like I'm 40 years old. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in an age group because I have, like, for example, another 20 years I can work before my retirement. Ideally, I'm not going to work for 20 years. That's altogether a different story. Ideally, I still have 20 years. So, which means that
Yes.
in this whole DevOps, containers, AI era, my
Yes.
generation of people are falling between a set of people who are already moved into management,
Mm-hmm.
then there are certain set of the new DevOps, every people and everything coming, like
Yes.
12, are coming from the generation Z.
Yeah.
It's a very, very difficult combination to balance out both the things.
Yeah.
You are exactly in the middle of two different generations.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot go back, you cannot go front, because that has its own limitations.
Mm-hmm.
That is why I always try to say that, for the people who are coming right now from universities or who have like 4 or 5 years of experience, they are actually in a very good spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole cultural, whole technology paradigm has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, like we used to have to go to GitHub, we have to go to documentations, we have to go to Slack channels, we have to go to so many different places to find the correct information. Today, you can do it in 5 minutes with ChatGPT,
Yes. Yes,
right?
that's true. Yeah.
This is with Generation Z. Now, if I come
Mm-hmm.
generation behind me, like with whole kind of a thing, they don't even know how to evaluate between the right skill set and the Generation Z.
Mm-hmm.
And they are confused. They cannot give you the vision because they are coming from altogether different. They have moved to management. They don't have the view of the new cloud. They don't know how to build a team. They don't know how to take a decisive decision. And this is a problem for guys like me falling in between two generations.
So that means what I heard out is one of the biggest problems for you, the management support in this case, right?
Yes.
Okay, so management support is one of the biggest part because the management don't understand what is important, what skills are needed. And yeah, just to have this picture, right? What this means to build up, for example, a cloud platform with the applications on it. And of course, if management has no clue about that, they will never offer you resources, right? For example, this could be one, right?
And it is, if you see today, like, I have worked in three, like, two or three different companies in Switzerland. And believe me
Mm-hmm.
when I say this, that all the management people who are sitting is one generation behind you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all the people you're trying to hire with latest DevOps and everything are all the Generation Z. And you
Mm-hmm.
following in the millennium generation, at least I am following, you are still a Generation Z, right?
Yeah.
The mindset when you talk in a meeting, when you have so many different, like three different millennium, a generation behind,
Mm-hmm.
and Generation Z coming together to
Mm-hmm.
problem, the approach, or it's not the complexity of the problem, but it's the complexity of the that how you can handle so many different opinions in that same room. Because one
Absolutely.
don't have any clue, they cannot, and they are responsible for taking the decision. The one
Mm-hmm.
exactly knows what to do. The other one
Mm-hmm.
is just running for a shortcut,
Yeah.
right? So
Absolutely.
so the management doesn't have any clue what to take a decisive decision, and this is the biggest problem every company will face sooner or later. So our
Really. Okay.
technology is will never say that adapting technology or implementing it in any project is a problem. No, it is
Yeah.
about how you're building up the team, how you're managing it, and how you're doing it. This is far more important than running
Absolutely.
elite technologies and always have to be the front runner of the technology. You don't have to be, but you have to put together a team who can work together. And in order to do that, you have to be a little bit strong. You have to have
Mm.
capacity to take that concrete decision, and you
Mm.
have to upset few people. Doesn't matter, but you know that in the long run that is going to help.
Yeah. And so could you explain me the consequences about these challenges?
The consequences is that would be that the attrition rate will be really high. So sooner
Mm-hmm.
or later that people will start looking out for jobs. The second is that your most highest performer guy will be less motivated, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the signal that
Mm-hmm.
that uh, that something is not wrong, something is not right in your organization. If your highest
Yes.
performer uh, gets demotivated and everything. The second
Mm-hmm.
would be like conflicts between the team members. There
Mm-hmm.
are certain conflicts, even if you are speaking right and you know you're right, but there will be always few people who will contradict. This will always be. There will be chaos. You will never try to find the right thing. So
Mm-hmm.
unless and until your lead or your management
Mm-hmm.
has the trust and the belief, because there will be always side noises coming from here and there.
Yeah.
Even if you do the best of the work, there will always be side noises coming from here. It is up to your
Mm-hmm.
management. If he understands correctly and if he is decisive, if he knows what to do, if he has an opinion, if he has suggestions, and if he has a concrete vision, only
Mm-hmm.
that person can whitelist those white noises coming.
Mm-hmm.
Because there will always be a crying baby, there will always be somebody who is not able to do the
Yeah,
job
absolutely.
and
That's absolutely.
try to make the high performer guy bad. And
Mm.
this is how you either lose that guy or you fire that guy.
Mm. So all a question of politic, right? Political
Absolutely.
issues.
Absolutely. These are all the things, this is the only thing which is stopping everything. It's not the technology. It's never the technology. It's
Yeah.
like somebody like, having an ulterior motive, something
Yeah.
hidden agenda, and you never know how everything is played out in every company.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So then how would you solve that if you could be in the lead of everything, right?
yeah,
How would you solve this problem?
so it's very important that the first thing is that, when you're hiring somebody, you exactly know why you are hiring.
Mm,
The scope of work should be very, very clear,
mm,
because if you are defining the scope and if you are defining the KRA, and if
mm,
someone else is coming and talking not so good about you, then
mm,
we can have a negotiation on the table saying that why you are talking like that, because this is not part of your scope. Your scope
mm,
is to do this, his scope is to do that.
mm.
There's also a term in economics which is called disguised unemployment. You are
Yeah.
you are there in the company, you are there in every meeting, but you don't
Mhm.
opinion. You are just agreeing everything. You are nodding your head. You are being the goody goody guy, but your net output is zero.
Yes. You are actually in my company, it's actually 100% the same. That's why I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, please go
So,
ahead. Sorry.
so in economics, you have employment, unemployment. Everybody knows this. Check out the term called disguised unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something like, which you have to be very careful, like in
Mm-hmm.
that, because these are the guys who will sooner or later, since they don't have, they are always nodding their head and they are the goody goody guy, not taking ownership. So when the person who is a highly motivated guy who is doing everything, fighting with everybody constructively, technological wise, I'm not saying physical fighting or something,
Mm-hmm.
but he's putting together everything, working hard, trying to put a process, trying to do everything. He's trying, right?
Yes,
So when he misses out or when he fails, these are the guys who will try to encash. So
absolutely.
that is why when you're building a team, it's very important to define the scope, to compartmentalize. And the third, so like, this is the scope of work. The second is disguise employment. And the third thing is when you have given a certain responsibility to somebody, no matter what all white noise you are hearing, you are supposed to trust him.
Mm-hmm.
Trust is a little bit shaky because you are getting influenced. You
Mm-hmm.
should talk it out. You should identify, you should tell him that, like, no, this is not, this
Yeah.
is a company's vision.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are not defining as a head of infrastructure, if you are not defining what your team lead should do, and your team lead is running with his own thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
at some point of time, the team lead has to pay the price. It will not be the head of infrastructure. It will not be the disguised employed guy. It will never be the. It will always be the team lead who will take the heat, because
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure never defined the scope for the team
Mm-hmm.
lead. The team lead never discover, like, defined the scope for his
Yeah.
team. That is how you create confusions, because you will always say people saying that, hey, I have lack of resources, I cannot do this. Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
For what purpose? Go to your management, prepare a PowerPoint presentation, two-pager, give an Excel sheet giving the scope of work. I want to hire this guy because this is missing.
Mm-hmm.
If you can prove me that, okay, this guy is already available in the organization, please show me. I would love to learn. Maybe I'm wrong. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The scope is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Find the disguised employment is very, very important, because those are the guys you have to get rid of, or you have to
Mm-hmm.
use it. I'm not saying
Yeah.
you have, but then you have to utilize in the right position. You cannot have a technical guy who is sitting and nodding his head and agreeing with everybody and not taking ownership.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, the third thing is like, your head of infrastructure, head. has to show the vision to the team, what he is expecting in the quarter, what he is expecting half yearly, what he is expecting full year.
Yeah.
If those three things are not there, then sooner or later, two
Mm.
things will, there will be conflicts. There will
Mm.
be conflicts. And you will always try to, okay, when the conflict happen, okay, I will go to this guy, I will go to that guy, I will try to, you will try to behave like a therapist. But
Yeah,
the end,
absolutely.
at the end, you will not be able to have a very, very decisive decision
Yeah.
because you are the part of the problem.
Mm.
You're not solving the problem. You are the part of the problem. First, you have to rectify yourself, then you can solve the problem.
Mm.
That's why that's why I said, the position where my generation of people is, uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very, very difficult spot between Generation Z and the legacy generation.
Absolutely, yeah. But that's really, really interesting what you're telling, because I have I had now multiple interviews, and each of the guy tell exactly these challenges which you are highlighting. So that means every company is have that problem actually. So I'm also the opinion, if you are getting bigger and bigger in your company, then you will, mm, in one time you will face these problems if you are not pushing from the beginning on a really good culture, right? If you have not a good culture in your company, right, then the people, they are doing whatever they want to do, and then you will build teams with no visions and so on. I mean, when I'm talking about me, we are pushing so multiple times, hey, please, we need the goals, where are the visions, what you want to reach, and so on. But me as a security guy, I am not able to design. The problem is they told me, hey, I have to design secure solutions. I have to build a secure blueprint for the cloud platform and so on. How we will build the platform secure as possible. And you are the security responsible person. Okay, fine, let's go for it. I will design a solution, and everyone blocks. Because everyone say, hey, okay, no, this is for me important. We have interests with business. We have to providing business a value and so on. uh, Security has no value right now and so on. And then I asking myself, why do they hire you when they don't focus on the security, right? And this is why I really like, as you said, the scope must be really clear for the roles which you are hiring. I mean, in my case, it's completely not. They promised me something, and right now I'm doing the completely opposite of everything what I should do. But
And
yeah, let's see what.
and
Yeah,
how it's not you. It's
yeah,
not.
I know.
There are there are thousands of people, or there are like at least 10 or 12 people, I know that, who've been hired and they've been doing this. And the other biggest problem is that every company, they are, or the leaders of every company, they are not building successes. Like,
Mm.
for example, like a head of infrastructure who is like 55 years old, for example, or
Mm-hmm.
54 years old. He knows that, in 6 years or 8 years down the line, I will retire.
Mm-hmm.
Are you building a successor? Are you building something, like, okay, you have worked for 14, 15 years in the company. When I leave, I I have built my successor. Are you doing?
Mm.
So if you see the management structure and everything, if somebody is leaving, they're not hiring anybody youngster. Like, for
Mm.
like a head of infrastructure who is 55 years old, he left the company, or he
Mm.
in early retirement.
Mm.
His manager, like the super boss, he is going to hire
Mm.
a guy who is close to 50 or 55.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do understand that that guy brings a lot of experience, but
Mm.
you are not you are not trying to build bring somebody who is a little bit less and has more curiosity, because his curiosity can improve your organizational paradigm.
Mm.
It is,
Mm.
I will hire another 50-year-old guy because that guy will not shake my comfort zone.
Mm. Yeah,
That's the thing.
absolutely.
It's nobody who is building, like, a successor. Like, okay,
Mm.
I've mentored somebody, I've brought him up. It's not like that. If you
Yeah,
are, too much for them, two things will happen. Either you will leave the company or you will be fired for some XYZ reason.
exactly. And yeah, yeah, that's you're showing exactly my picture what I am currently in right now, because I am really also, you know, I am just a blocker because I am the security guy. I just want to actually I just want to highlight I'm just doing my job, to be honest, you know, and that's why they hired me. But they see I'm just a blocker, and I mean, I had already a interview where they where someone told me, hey, actually, there are companies out there who are firing them because you're a blocker, right? And I'm just, oh my God, how sick is this company? You know, they hiring you because of security, but they fire you also because they don't want the security because you are a blocker in this case, right? And yeah.
It's just that, there's a famous quote that the suggestions which you provide are not ignored because it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It is ignored because it's convenient for them. It's
Mm-hmm.
convenient for them.
Yeah.
So the things which you do or anybody do, if it becomes an inconvenience for your heads or for the
Yeah.
management, there will
Yeah.
be a violation. Because with your act and everything, they can name it various things. They can say that, oh, you are doing this, you are doing that. But at the end of the day, it narrows down or it boils down to one single thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is affecting their comfort zone. They have to
Yeah.
work, or they are not able to match your pace. They are not able to match your uh, projection or how you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot match your thinking process. They cannot match your the way you absorb the problem and try to solve the problems. Maybe you have a very good whiteboarding skills and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it can be anything, any skill set of yours which is missing in them and which is bothering them like anything. It can be your
Yeah.
honesty as well, that you're too
Yeah.
honest, you're too
Yeah.
transparent, you're not political, anything, or
Mm-hmm.
you are just
Yeah.
wearing a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
well,
that's completely crazy, you know, that you have to be political, that you can working in this environment. I mean, this is like toxic, right? This is not healthy.
I would only say that this is with most of
Yeah.
the Swiss company you will find.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah. You are
Swiss.
facing, of course.
So you have to navigate. You have to keep a very creative and a focused mind. You have to see that how you do it, how you can
Mm-hmm.
do it. So even
Absolutely.
there are various ways of, everybody has their own way of coping it. But yes, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk some other questions and everything.
Yes. So, with the next question, we already answered that. We don't have to go into the detail of this question. What problem have you occurred when you're introducing new security tools? I don't know if you have experience in that, but maybe you know some concerns about implementing new tools, especially security tools. For example, I will make you an example. Developer are complaining about to use these tools because they don't like to add or learn additional new tools. Are there any thoughts about that from you?
So, like what I have seen in my, at least in my like team, and where security team is taking care of everything. Um, Yes, there were some proactive uh, things which they were trying to do, but
Mm-hmm.
it's very important that, at least as a security lead, I'm not talking about the security engineers or the DevSecOps engineers, okay, but at least as a security lead, you have to understand that, how much of the things are required, or how much of the effort is there in order to make that change on the infrastructure level, on the database level, on the application level before implementing that. So it
Mm-hmm.
is a bad practice that, you want to implement certain tools, but you have to two things. First is, will this be accepted? And
Mm-hmm.
if it is accepted, what is the effort? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
like a security guy, coming and suggesting one tool and let's do it. It doesn't work like that. Even it will not work for infrastructure or database. Anything which you do, the first thing is that, the acceptance by the community,
Yes,
by the project.
absolutely. Yeah.
Second thing is that, okay, now they have accepted it, how soon we can implement it? Because everybody has.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important in that way. So this is where, I feel that, at least in my security team, they were not able to do that. So every time they
Okay.
were trying to implement something, I think these 2 points, they were not taking into consideration, and
Mm-hmm.
that is why, they were mostly ignored or they were mostly criticized.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Great. No additional questions to that. So let's jump to the next question. What standards are you following for implementing DevSecOps? Do you know the DevOps practices or standards which you are using?
As I told you, everything which is applicable to a DevOps engineer is applicable to a security engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are doing all your security by code,
Mm-hmm.
uh, by version control, uh,
Mm-hmm.
so it's something like, you are scrutinizing and
Mm-hmm.
you are uh, either making the change on your side or you're enforcing the change on the DevOps side. But anything which
Absolutely.
you are doing with the GitOps mindset, you're not going
Absolutely.
clicking in the portal and generating report and everything. You're trying to automate more and more. In this way, you are much closer, coming closer to the DevOps, because you are also a hands-on CI/CD guy. Being a DevSecOps, the DevOps guy is a CI/CD. He understands Git,
Mm-hmm.
understand Git. You understand branch policy. He understands branch policy. The communication becomes very lucid.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You are speaking Latin and he is speaking French.
Mm-hmm. Great. But you are not using any official standards approach like from OWASP or from NIST or something like that, where you.
We do use OWASP, but we
Okay.
use it in WAF, Web Access.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
whenever, like, we are implementing application gateway or Azure front door, we are attaching a WAF, and that one, when we are attaching a WAF, we are using the latest OWASP. And the other thing is that, we typically, as I said, when we are generating tokens and everything, then for DevOps, we are using either workload identity federations or we are using the system access token. So these
Yeah.
are short-lived tokens, which is not something, which can be exploited.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Then to the next question, what do you consider to be critical success factors for successful DevSecOps implementation? I mean, we talked before already about the controls which you should implement to have success, but could you just summarize or the most important topics which are really beneficial for a company to implement, which are success factors?
Two things: lifecycle management and documentation. That's all.
Okay.
Lifecycle management in sense that, okay, you created a set of Azure policies, and then you cannot expect
Mhm.
on this whole predefined Azure policies for the next 10 years. You
Yeah.
cannot do. So you have to keep on refactoring it. So every time there is a changes coming, in each of the services, you have to go and you have to make those policy change. You have to
Mm-hmm.
have a very guarded release management, because with the new subscription, these new policies will be rolled out. But what about
Mm-hmm.
the subscriptions which is already there? You have to keep on, you have to do that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the security and everything, it's not a standardized thing, but then it completely depends upon the life cycle management. And whatever changes you're making, whatever you're defining, you're putting together everything in the documentation, so that
Mm-hmm.
whenever you are saying something in a meeting, it is always backed up by the documentation. It's never a verbal communication. It's a guideline coming with a proper backed up documentation, which has an automation behind the scene, which has a proper life cycle management.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. If you would, from beginning on, you will go now in a new company and you have to job that you have to implement DevSecOps there. What would be three of the measurements which you would firstly implement?
Um, the first thing would be Azure policies for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the second thing would be that per service Azure security, and how I can make it secure by default. Like I
So
will
you
embed
will.
into the infrastructure as a code. I will not roll out per project, but I will put it into the central Terraform modules,
Mm-hmm.
so that every project who is consuming the modules, it is deploying the services uh,
Mm-hmm.
with the same security features,
So
right?
that means the resources are already hardened,
Yes.
correct? Okay. Mm-hmm.
And the third thing is that I will have a bi-weekly meetings, discussing with each project team regarding the
Mm-hmm.
recommendations and the severity, which is flagged in Microsoft Defender for Cloud and Microsoft Defender for DevOps, and
Mm-hmm.
delegating them the ownership that this needs to be fixed.
Okay.
And that would be the final monthly tactical report, which I present to the management, saying that this is what I'm trying to do, and
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm trying to follow up. They are not doing it. Please suggest what I
Yeah.
should. So you are taking the proactive approach. If that is not working, then as a protocol, you are reporting back to your management saying that my job is done. I have implemented this. I have set up meetings. I am now following what for 6 weeks. It is completed, and that is how. One additional step
Yeah.
you can do is that you can also tag these recommendation and severity, which is you're getting from Defender for Cloud or Defender for DevOps. You can tag it together with Azure DevOps work item, or maybe or maybe with Jira or with ServiceNow. So
Okay.
every time there is a severity or recommendation flagged, they can create a
Mm-hmm.
ticket which you can assign to
Yeah.
the particular people.
Okay, great. Then to the last question, what challenges are you expecting in the future
AI,
with the, yes, with the whole AI?
it's very important because I would rather use AI where it really matters, but I will not
Mm-hmm.
AI, just for the heck of saying that, okay, I am no more Azure and DevOps engineer because I feel ashamed. Everybody is doing AI. I should do something about AI. I would rather
Uh-huh.
say proud DevOps engineer and I don't do AI.
Okay. Okay. But do you think regarding the AI, for example, are there any, yeah, I mean, especially developer around you or DevOps engineers which use AI for creating their infrastructure as code, for example, that there is maybe a bigger, yeah, attack surface because they are using AI code, right? And they are not, yeah, checking that or review that, and that's why it will land into the production. Do you see there increasing risk in the future?
I do, and it completely depends upon how your organization is structured. So
Mm,
you are developing infrastructure as a code, like project by project. So a project is coming, one DevOps engineer is allocated to that project. He is building the infrastructure. There is no central repository. There is no
mm,
central modules. And every project, I have to create storage account. I have to create AKS. I have to create
mhm.
API management. So if I'm doing this for every project and every resource is doing it, of course, those guys, for fast delivery and everything, they will use ChatGPT codes.
Yeah.
And some of these can be vulnerable, cannot be more vulnerable. It depends. But if you
Mm,
have a platform where
yeah.
all the codes, even if the guy is generating from ChatGPT, but there is a two-way principle. There is somebody who is testing the code, validating the
Mm,
code. There is a quality assurance, quality analysis.
mm,
If they are going, and then it is committed to the source of truth. And then when it is committed to the main branch, from there, all the projects are utilizing the code, the risk automatically gets reduced.
absolutely. Yeah. So that means you want to say this is at least more uh, important in today or in the future than in the past. I mean, now with AI, this attack surface is much higher, right? Right, and that's why you have to push more on all the security testing tools and so on, because you need that, right?
And that is why the platform engineering is getting more and more attention. Why do you think the
Mm,
platform engineering is getting more and more attention? Because of, earlier, of course, standardization, governance, one-click solutions, hiding the
mm,
complexity behind the internal developer portal. All these things are good. But this is
mm.
also one of the greatest thing that that nowadays you can even build the whole company using ChatGPT and everything, or other
Yeah.
things. So I feel, I suggest that I have a strong feeling that that sooner or later this is why the platform engineering is also getting boomed.
Mhm. Absolutely. So to my last question, did I forget anything where you are getting mad why I didn't ask you these questions? Do you have, did I forget anything?
No, I I was absolutely like because all the answers which I'm giving harder is from my personal experience. This is
Yeah,
not like
and
a bookish knowledge or something. This is like my cloud experience, and I'm happy to
Mhm.
share.
And thank you very much that you are sharing your knowledge. It's not, I mean, not everyone is doing that, and that's why I want to say thank you again.
No worries.
And yeah, now I would say we close the official interview, and because then I will stop the recording, because and then I don't need this unnecessary